Hello, hello in UK Health Radio Land. I'm Liz Larson, and our friend
Bill McKenna.
is back. Hey, Bill.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, so this week I wanted to talk about something that's been wandering around in my mind. And it's a term that I think quantifies what we do in Cognomovement, but it's a thing that really affects everyone. And I think it's one of those things that's available on the planet now for changing, for manifesting, for changing timelines, for changing your body, for changing your wealth, for changing everything. And it is a state of quantum neurology, using your nervous system in a way that changes everything in a quantum way. What do you think about that, Bill McKenna?
Well, I think that it's always existed. It always has been. But I think that the realization that it is has been realized to different extents throughout the millennia. In what they called new thought leaders, they talked about your feeling and your thought creating your reality, but underneath that is your nervous system. So I find it absolutely fascinating that your nervous system can change the quantum field. And we have a lot of very, very real, interesting experiences, like personal experiences to us and our practitioners of just normal day-to-day events that are like, oh my gosh, there is this quantum effect when we change whatever's going on inside of us.
Well, let's back up and kind of explain to everybody what we're talking about, because it's kind of a heady idea, except for that it's not. It's the simplest thing ever. This physical body that we own and operate interacts with everything else around us, the whole universe, through one system. And it's that neurological system, the electromagnetic, hormonal, and chemical system that allows us to touch, taste, feel, smell, receive and send information through, that one system, the body. And the nervous system extends into the universe around us. They measure it as an aura. It's energy around a person. Well, where does it come from? Where does that electrical signal come from to begin with? We know that the first electrical signal comes from the heart. And then that sends electricity and energy throughout the entire body. But at some point, the nervous system, the brain, the limbic system interacts with and sends signals to the rest of the body to move, right? For movement, we have to have our nervous system. To know if it's hot or cold outside, that's the nervous system in action, connected to the largest organ in our body and the barrier between us and everything else in the world, right? It sends the signal to our stomach to eat, when we have to go to the bathroom. But it also regulates that heart pump. It regulates our liver. It regulates our pancreas. It regulates digestion. It actually is the entire function of the body. Now, when you're in a body on this planet, you're literally interacting with every force around you. And the way you know what's happening around you is by these points all over the body that the nervous system receives then information back into the body. And then your processing unit, your brain, and your emotions and your physiology decide what to do with that information. So we're constantly sending and receiving through this one system. Well, what we know with our work is that when you change that system, change the way it's either receiving or sending or both, you change the way it interacts with the world around itself. Those changes create quantum levels of change. So, for example, when one person in a relationship changes themselves, changes the way they're sending or receiving information, changes the way that information is processed inside the body, when they go back home, the other person in the relationship also seems changed. When that relationship is changed, then relationships attached to it also change, right? And then the relationships at work change. The relationship with money changes. The relationship with every interaction, food changes. So now you have that quantum effect where things start to have a ripple out through the whole universe of change. So I think it's this very simple thing, like I said, but also with giant impact on the planet.
It's massive and so very natural. It's happening whether we like it or not. Most people don't experience it because their understanding doesn't change much within a lifetime.
Right.
I think that it's this way. And uh, I think we kind of get ourselves into a state of mind, a state of being. These people are like that. I feel like this. I feel like me. You know, it there are people who feel differently than you. Whether they're, the people that are like, "Oh my gosh, they are actually having a really good time. They're joyful and things go their way and they're like, "Oh my gosh, look at them." What it would be like to be them.
Yeah.
Having such a good life and such a
Yeah.
good time and then there's other people, that you look at and you go, "Man, woo, that is hard to live that way." Other people comes across, that you see them causing themselves pain. Like the easiest way I can explain it is, you know, you see an event take place and you see them misinterpret it as an insult, as a threat, as a as some sort of negative thing about them, or they're being cheated, or they're being betrayed, or they're being taken advantage of. It plays out right in your grocery parking lot. You
Yeah,
know, it's
that's
like
it.
every day, like, oh, they're coming down the road and they did this to me, or they, oh yeah, look at them, they're not respect, whatever might be the case. And other others might experience something very, very different.
Well, that is that quantum effect. We all know it. That's why I said it's so simple. If you go to the grocery store and you're cranky, every person you run into is probably going to offend you in some way. They're going to cut you off in traffic before you get there, probably going to get the middle finger. When you get to the store, you're probably going to run into 5 or 6 other annoying or annoyed people, right? Either cashier is probably going to get something wrong or they're going to be aggravated too. This is that quantum effect. This is how, in real time, how we feel is affecting everything around us. Or, that typical bad day, I'm having a bad day. You wake up in the morning, you drop your toothbrush in the toilet, right off the bat, sets it up. Ah, dang it, it's a bad day, right? So the next thing that happens is you spill your coffee, on yourself on the way to work, or you're that person at McDonald's who gets the extra hot cup of coffee spilled in your lap. By the time you get to work, something has gone awry and someone's mad at you. I mean, it just goes on and on. And it adds up to a whole bad day and it never ends until you go to bed and reset. And only if you reset fully in the night, which can happen, Your body sort of lets go of that, is willing to say, okay, it was just a bad day. Tomorrow will be better. When it resets and you feel differently in the morning, that day is different unless your nervous system is so focused on the problem from the day before that it just drags it in. Then you start to have a timeline shift in your life that feels like it goes negative, because the body never resets and never gets out of the pattern of it's bad. Everything bad is happening to me. The converse is 100% true, right? I'm having a good day. Something nice happens to me. I just wake up feeling good. It's a full moon maybe, or not a full moon, whatever it is. And then, people smile at you as you're driving and wave nicely. You're at the grocery store and every interaction is so lovely. And then lo and behold, that day, some amazing coincidence happens. Somebody you've wanted to run into, you get some money in the mail, you get some great news. This is the quantum effect. And if you're paying attention, you'll notice that it has everything to do with the way you feel and the way you're interpreting what's happening. For most of us, though, it's not a choice, it's automatic. And that's where we run into trouble, right, Bill?
That's exactly it. I think that you said something that was really, just the most of us experience, which is you get up, and you feel kind of like the day before.
Yep.
And you know what? And that just becomes the rest of your life.
Yep.
Because it just is that way for you. And there can be a lot of really kind of basic things that happen that you just had no idea that this is the reason behind my downtrodden self.
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as I fell down when I was a kid off a swing and I banged my head. And we have found that this is very much resolvable, and you can change your life if you correct it. But it could just be a death, the death of your mom, your dad, your brother, your best friend, the one person you loved, and then they left, and that could be a dog, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a lot of people, it is.
Yeah.
Because it was their first and only time of really, truly being loved. And that damage literally to their nervous system. And with that, it downgrades the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And there's no real easy way out, because I'm creating a signal, and that signal goes out and attracts more. People who have bad things happen as a child, some of these horrible things that happen as a child, are the ones that are more likely to have those same type things happen as an adult.
Yeah.
And it also can go through the family history as well. So it's an entire thing. But I think the thing that's really interesting is that what Liz is talking about is that this literally extends beyond your body. This electromagnetic field, now there's scientific proof that this field actually extends beyond the body, and it's measurable. The HeartMath Institute has measured it out, and they can measure the actual electromagnetic field that the body generates beyond the body. It's real. It is scientifically provable.
Well, let's talk about why that is so important. Because I think this is such a juicy topic to me. I want to talk about it all at one time. So why that is important is that the body, if the only way that you could perceive information was at your skin, you'd be in trouble all the time. You'd be running into things. You would have things that could attack you without you knowing it. You would not have the pre-warning that you need. These bodies are quite fragile, really. So for that electrical signal to send and the nervous system to extend its feelers out 6 to 8 feet, it allows us to have some pre-warning about what's coming before we actually experience it, before we feel it. Now, for example, think about if somebody walks up behind you in a room. You don't see them and you didn't necessarily hear them, but you know someone is there. You get a weird feeling, right? That is your nervous system. It's a pre-warning of something that you're not aware of. If you walk into a room where something has just gone down, you automatically have that something signals you, the hair goes up on the back of your neck, and you're like, something happened here. Now, you don't know what it is. And a lot of people will describe that as like an intuitive or psychic hit. But what it really is that your nervous system, the tentacles going out and measuring what is the vibration that's happening in this room. It's really quite a genius system. We're up against the clock here, Bill. We need to take a break and hear from the good folks at the UK Health Radio Network. And when we come back, let's talk a little bit more about that, about how we are reaching out into the quantum, and the vibration beyond us is something that interacts with our own. So UK Health, take it away. All right, and we're back. We're talking about quantum neurology and how your nervous system really is the thing that's interacting with the universe. And when you know how to utilize it, it's not just change it, but utilize it as a tool to affect everything around you, you now have full control of your life. It's kind of exciting and amazing. So we're talking about how you were talking about the HeartMath Institute measuring this field around the body. And I was saying that it is the thing that gives you pre-warning. But let's talk about how it becomes a match to whatever else is around you. How is what you're feeling? How does that interact?
That is really an interesting, if you take some of the science from the HeartMath Institute. So the HeartMath Institute, there's a study done, actually many studies that they've done on the heart rate variability and what they call the heart-brain coherence. Now, the interesting thing is that when us humans have a fearful thought, an angry thought, a judgmental thought, let's just call it a don't feel good thought. What happens is the heart becomes erratic. And conversely, when we enter into a state of gratitude, of love, of compassion, of joy, and we're absent those other fearful thoughts surrounding it, like, oh, I love this person, but oh my God, they might leave me, or they might not think they like me very much, or what, we're absent all of that. It's just pure. What happens is the heart goes into this coherence and it sets up a wave. Now, this wave actually goes up into the brain and creates coherence within the brain and the heart. It's called heart-brain coherence. And this is an electromagnetic wave that gets set up. But this wave doesn't stop there. This wave actually goes out from our body as well. You can measure this. Now, we know at Cognomovement that we will think thoughts equal to our feeling. So this feeling, this thought and feeling goes out as an actual wave, electromagnetic wave. Now, the most amazing thing happens. Other people when you're in proximity to them, start to go, if you're in this heart-brain coherence, this this heart rate variability, all working beautifully. And what happens is it affects the other person near you, and theirs starts to go into it too. How do we know this? Well, we know this because it's been measured. They've actually done all the scientific tests at HeartMath where they know this actually happens. Now, if you think about it from a real nuts and bolts mechanical way, well, like we said earlier, I'm going to think thoughts equal to my feeling. If the other person near me, their heart starts to go into coherence because my system's in coherence, they're going to think some other thoughts. And once they start thinking those other thoughts, they're going to act differently. They're going to make different choices. Now, the opposite of this is also true. Like Liz was saying a few minutes ago, if I am in fear, in anger, resentment, all these things, literally my system physically goes out of coherence and becomes very jagged. I mean, when you look at the heart rate variability, it looks like spikes. It tick, 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 and they're very close together. Tick, 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 tick. When it's in coherence, it looks like a wave, literally a slow rolling wave. And well, if you just imagine that this incoherence gets broadcast, well, what can you expect out of the other people around you? How many times have you been somewhere eating dinner? I love this example because I've seen this. Is like the person with anxiety and don't have that coherence. Everybody's sitting, there's 5 people at the table whose meal comes out screwed up, late,
Right.
wrong. They wanted a salad and somebody put pickles on their salad. Like who puts pickles on a salad? But all of a sudden there's pickles on the salad. It's like this is funny. I got to tell the story. There was one of these people who was allergic to walnuts. Now, deathly allergic. Like I'm going to go to the hospital, and the person asked. They're at the table. I want to order a Caesar salad, and they asked the waiter. Is there any walnuts on the Caesar salad? Now everybody knows there's no walnuts on Caesar salad.
No.
That's not, why would you even ask? Why would you even ask? Anyway, no, we don't know, no walnuts of any kind. No. I understand your allergy. No problem. Anyway, the salad comes, and he takes a bite of the salad. Oh my God. Squad 51. We have a cardiac arrest, and all this stuff's going on. But walnut oil. But
incredible. Like why would walnut oil be in a Caesar salad? That's never a part of it. But it is a really good example. I had a brother like that no matter what restaurant he went into, his food would be a mess. So he's the common denominator. How did he have an effect on a chef that was probably 20 or 30 feet away, who's not even looking at him? How would he have an effect that every time he went anywhere, his food would get messed up in the most amazing way? Like his stories about messed up food. So this is the interesting thing. I mean, it's a great question. So we were saying that, for most people, it's 6 to 8 feet around their body, their nervous system goes, but how is it affecting a chef 30 feet away? Or how is it affecting a relative thousands of miles away? The thing is that our signals, once they're connected, they're connected. And our signals also can travel on a higher network of signals. Everybody's heard these stories that an idea comes on the planet like the sewing machine, and all of a sudden in the same month, 3 people at disparate places around the planet start building a sewing machine. It's this idea. Lynn McTaggart in The Field talks about this in her book, The Field, talks about this in a really scientific way. And if you're curious about this, I really recommend reading that book because it explains how that can happen. But we are constantly interacting with everything around us, and the quality. This is the thing, if everyone could understand this one thing, it's the quality of your vibration that changes what's happening in the life around you. The quality of your vibration is what you're bound to see next in your life. So here's been the great problem. How does anybody know when that's going to happen? What are the signals? And then how do they have any ability to change? Because up until now, most of us had almost no ability to change in the moment unless you had an epiphany, a paradigm shift, right? Or a massive state change. Meaning, you ever heard the story of 2 people having a horrifying argument and one of them farts? And the other one is so shocked that they break down into laughter. And they get to laughing so hard that they can't breathe. They're crying. They're laughing so hard because it's so stupid, so ridiculous. It's such a shock to the nervous system that by the time they get done laughing, they can't remember what they were arguing about. And just a few minutes before, it was like a life or death argument, a marriage ending argument, right? That's, a pattern interrupt for one. It's a state change. The state of the body changed. You can't be angry and laughing your butt off at the same time. They don't work together. The system has to change the whole routing system and the chemicals involved in it to create this hysterical laughter. And it's so funny that the people can't remember anymore what they were laughing about because the body just doesn't feel that way anymore. Now, sometime later they might, but in the moment they don't. It changes everything. A paradigm shift is when all of a sudden things change externally enough that all of a sudden you see the world in a different way. So the Matrix was a huge paradigm shift for a lot of people externally because an idea was entered in that interrupted the regular flow of information and pattern in the system and got people thinking, wait a minute, what if that were true? So it paused everything else for a period of time. And that movie alone changed so many people's lives, right? An epiphany is this stroke of genius in the moment where this one is a little more elusive. An idea pops in, there's something you see, taste, touch, hear, some influence on the system that instantly and radically changes the whole neurology, changes the mind, changes the body, changes the heart, like you were saying, Bill. And now you're able to have an opening into a whole nother kind of reality or idea. But all of those are relatively elusive. They sort of happen to us and aren't necessarily generated by us unless you know how to access that system directly and create change. So we're up against another break. And when we come back, Bill, let's talk about that. The ability to access that system directly to affect change on the reality around us. So for now, let's hear from the good folks at the UK Health Radio Network. And then you know how to change it. That equals, you can literally change what happens around you.
Yeah, this is something that is not accessible for most of us. How many times have we come up against somebody and told them, listen, you just got to get yourself happy, and you're like, really, a lot of expletives come out, and you kind of don't want to get happy. You want to stay in your whatever it is, because um, it's not accessible. It's not easily accessible. Like, how do I do that? Am I going to go over and eat some strawberries? Kind of go for a walk? I don't know. But there's a trick, and the trick is that that feeling is your nervous system. It's if you literally, for the best way I can explain this is anxiety, right? If you look at anxiety and how does my body feel when I'm in anxiety? The best way I can explain it is like, I feel like, I feel tension, physical tension, and I can feel something in my body, which
The body shakes. Yeah.
shakes to different degrees, different varying degrees. I may feel some pressure in my head. I don't like it. I do not like it. And my body tenses up. And I'm doing whatever I can to get away from it. But no matter how far I drive, it still seems to be in the car. so, it is our physical bodies, and it is our nervous system, an involuntary response. Like, since when has anyone ever chosen, I'm going to be in anxiety today? You know what I'm choosing? I choose to feel anxiety. It's not a choice. It's an involuntary reaction in our nervous system. It is like just a cycle that's going on within my body, and I will associate it with external events. Oh, this, oh, that threat. And you know what? They call it generalized anxiety because you're going to attach it to this, you'll attach it to that. That to this, oh, the burger with the bun got burned. I'm going to be late. I don't feel my hair came out today. Well, you name whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's simplify that just for a second. What we mean is that your body will generate a feeling, could be fear, could be sadness, could be anger, could be anything. The emotions will match that eventually. Like, you wake up cranky, and then, I'm mad at my spouse. Oh, I'm mad at my cat, right? So we quantify the emotion, and those equal the thought, right? We're going to make up the reason that all of this started in the first place. Maybe it's my mother and something she did to me in the past. Maybe it's my finances, right? We will attach meaning to the physical sensations we're experiencing, not really the other way around. Most of us think it's the other way around. Something's happening externally, and this is why I feel this way. I think this is so important, Bill, something to pause on. So important for people to understand. It does happen that way sometimes, but rarely. It's really more that we are feeling that way to start with. And so that is what we notice happening around us.
That's exactly it. And it's only until you've kind of taken a pause, and started to look. Well, gosh, the truth is that I attach to many, many things. You almost have to kind of step back and just take a view of it and say, oh, you know what? It's not the external events. It's just, this is my state of being. And to calm down your nervous system. One of the ways we kind of look at it is a glitch. You got a glitch, in your nervous system, and this glitch can be rewired, literally, so this feeling goes away. I'm so angry. I'm so very angry. Just uh, maybe I focus on whoever's around me, my family, whatever. It's because, I've got some family members that are blah, blah. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, this very thing is a feeling, and it's not voluntary. It can be rewired through your eyes, your brain, your spinal cord, your senses. There's very specific exercises that you can do which will literally eradicate it. You just don't have it anymore.
But I think you have to back up before that. I think before that, there has to be an awareness, an understanding. I have a feeling in my body. I'm experiencing an emotion, right? And it's making my thoughts have go a certain direction, but that doesn't mean it's all necessarily true. So step one, you have to be willing to stop in a moment that you don't love, or when you're wanting to create a moment that you do. You have to be able to stop and be like, okay, what is happening? Oh, my neck is tense, my low back is tense, my hands are clenched, my teeth are clenched, my brows are furrowed. What is my body doing? What's the tension level? And understanding that level one, you've got to have a way to relax that tension. The second step is, now my body's tense, and what are my emotions doing? We think they're the same thing. They're not. But the emotion is also a very specific physical feeling to you. Oh, my body's doing that I feel sad thing again. Oh, my body's doing that I'm angry again. Oh, my body's doing that I'm not worthy thing again, right? So if you can slow everything down and recognize what's happening physically to me, and then how are my thoughts equal to that? That's step one. If you can understand that, sometimes just acknowledging it. Oh, hey, body, I see you doing that thing again. Thank you. Right? Sometimes that's enough. But what Bill's talking about is a deeper way of intentionally accessing and changing a neural pattern that is a habit for your body. If you kind of live in anger, if you kind of live in sorrow, if you live in anxiety, there's a deeper signaling pattern within the brain and body that has to be addressed and changed, almost rewired. Like, have you ever seen an electrical engineer take the wire from here and put it over there, right? Something's short circuiting, you move it. That's exactly what we're talking about. If being an expert at being able to rewire your own system so that you can just automatically feel at ease or happy or just even neutral, right?
Yeah, it's a simple process. Once you nobody has ever given us the manual,
Yeah.
how can I operate this nervous system? Imagine having like an encyclopedia of, hey, this is how you do it. You have a manual for your car. When you get the blinker, light for oil comes on, and oh, it's a steady light versus a blinking light, and you look up, okay, what does that mean? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is what it means, and this is what you're going to do to resolve it. You have this incredible system that once you understand it, that you go, oh, I got the controls now.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely true. I think a part of it is the way that psychology developed on the planet, with Jung and Freud. At that same time, spiritualism was happening equally. And people were trying to get into at their mind and out of their mind at the same time, trying to use the mind to affect everything outside of the body, right? And I think we just got focused on only one piece of the puzzle. So there's this effect where someone will talk to you, like I might reason with you, Bill. Bill, this way you're thinking, it's just not right. Look over here. And I might tell you a story that helps you understand something else about that. And while you're under my influence, you might be like, Liz, you're right. I think you're right about that. But then you go off during the day and your neurological system, your wiring is what it is. And pretty soon that override that I gave you to your brain is then overridden again by your own natural system. That's like, no, we don't look at things that way. We look at things through the lens of anger, fear, sadness, betrayal, whatever the body has learned to do, right? So it's why trying to change the logical mind takes so long, or is in a lot of ways ineffective. In that process, a lot of times people are now adding in the physical body, knowing how to address it and access it. But if a person could do that for themselves, know what the warning signs are, know how to access that system directly, like, there's a thing you hook up to your car and it will tell you what's wrong with the brain and the computer and all of that. It's like having one of those to hook into our system to know what to change. And it's not just one piece of the system, right, Bill? We have to change the whole system and how it accesses itself and interacts with itself.
Yeah. And here's the amazing thing. In the end, not only do you end up with the life of your dreams because you feel like you have never felt before. Everything you've ever bought in your life, you always were after a feeling. If you distill it down, the car, the house, whatever, the relationship, I wanted a feeling. Guess what? You can actually do that. You can rewire yourself so you have the feeling. If you have the feeling, that great feeling, it kind of makes everything else kind of a lot less important.
It is so true. So, Bill, we are at the end of our time for UK Health Radio today. Hey, everybody, if you liked this conversation, will you push a like wherever you're listening to in UK Health Radio land, or any of the places that you like to listen to podcasts, or on YouTube if you want to see our faces. It's available there too. But like and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. It's important information, and it really can change the planet. So we'll continue this conversation next time because I think it's so important. But I'm so glad you're back this week, Bill. And we'll talk again next week. Everybody, you can find us at cognomovement.com if you want to know more about our work. And there is a whole body of work here on the UK Health Radio Network. So until next time, be safe and be well. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with us on the New Life Perspective radio show. For more information or to find out more about the work that Bill and I do, please visit us at cognomovement.com or email us at info@cognomovement.com. See you again soon.